and then we'll try and get the screen wash going. Let me tell you a story. During the second lockdown here in the UK, back in 2020, fun times, my daily car was a little Skoda Fabia 1.6 TDI, Monte Carlo edition, and obviously during the pandemics, it wasn't getting much use. It spent most of its life parked next to this border hedgerow. The first big video job that I had that year was in October or November 2020, and I was dead excited. It was over in Manchester. It's about an hour and a half, 2-hour drive, and on the way there, sitting on the M56 motorway, I thought I could smell fumes. Thought nothing of it. The car wasn't on fire. Carried on. Got to Manchester, got out the car, and I could see around the seams of the bonnet the sort of greasy look of diesel. Long story short, we got into the engine bay, and apparently a mouse or a shrew had found its way into my nice warm engine bay. It had gone underneath the engine cover, chewed up a load of foam, brought a load of straw and newspaper and that sort of thing in, and made itself a nest in amongst my injectors. During this process, this little rodent had chewed through one of the diesel runoff pipes as well. So that smell that I could smell was about half a litre to a litre of diesel just simmering away, sat on top of my engine. Anyway, I managed to sort it all out, found the parts online, and it took a while to get the parts during the pandemic, and just a little bit of know-how. It wasn't a hard job, it was just a time-consuming job, especially mopping up all the little tiny shreds of foam and everything like that. I had to get a new engine cover, which was easy enough. That's the new one. That's the old one. But yeah, I thought that was it. These things only happen to you once during your lifetime. Apparently I was wrong. So a couple of years later, as you can see, it is snowing. Last night, the Forester was parked alongside this hedgerow, as you can see by the space. And apparently, another little rodent has got inside this engine bay and decided to chew through my screen wash lines. Now, it has been very cold for a couple of days. I had quite a long drive 2 days ago, and it gave out, the screen wash gave out halfway there, but that was due to the cold and a solution that was too diluted. It was too high water content. But then it did start working again once the temperature rose again just a little bit, and I thought nothing of it. But then I've come to have a drive this morning, and yeah, they're not working. The rear one is working, so I know the fluid isn't frozen, but there's nothing coming out the front. Let me show you what's up. As you can see here, we are inside the bonnet, and I noticed it pretty quickly. Right up in the corner here, this is our washer line. At least what is left of it. All these little bits down here, this is all just pieces of shredded pipeline. So that's why I was positive it wasn't a burst. If it was a burst, it would just be one split in the pipe where all the water is leaking out. However, if I switch her on, and I'll show you what exactly is currently happening when I try and use the screen wash. And then we'll try and get the screen wash going. I can tell you from here there's nothing hitting the windscreen, but through the gap under the bonnet I can see liquid is spraying. So that is what we are dealing with today. I have just watched that back on the camera for the first time. That is a lot more liquid coming out than I was expecting. Obviously this is right hand drive, so I'm on that side of the car, pulling the stalk to get the screen wash going. The bonnet's in the way, I can't see what's actually going on. But yeah, no wonder I've been topping it up quite a bit the last 24, 48 hours. So, just in the boot of the car, I've got a few little doodads that might come in handy. The very first thing we'll need is a trim tool. Then, plan is, I've got some washer tubing, a couple of different sizes, just because I don't know what is going to fit or not. I discovered this while I was out driving, so I just popped into Halfords and bought stuff that might help me fix it. Then they didn't have much in the way of hose connectors, so we're going to see what we can do with these. I've got some silicone WD-40 and a lighter. Hopefully we'll be able to make them fit the connectors. But yeah, first off we need to get this little side panel off so we can actually properly see what we're doing. First off, go and get this little bit of trim off. From what I can tell, it's just two little poppers, so we'll pry those out. Especially in cold weather, I really hope that these don't just snap. Okay, there's one. Come on, there we go. I can't get the angle. Two, and I've not snapped either of them, which is quite surprising and very pleasing. So this bit of trim should just pop off, I hope. There we go. Throw it in the boot for now. I'll put the clips with it so I don't lose them. I'm going to try and clear some of the junk out of there, i.e. all the little bits that have been chewed at. Okay, so we might be lucky. So all of this bit of pipe here, this looks absolutely fine. Although I'm half wondering whether maybe this job's been done before. Because, well, I don't know what this little tiny stretch of flexi plastic tubing is for, but it's the only piece of it. It's about an inch and a half long. Otherwise, it's nice rubber hosing here. I'm sure this is a connector here between two pieces, and then it looks like there's a bit of tape lower down from this thick plastic bit. So I don't know, maybe it's a previous botched job from the previous owner. I wouldn't be surprised. I have found a few of them since I've had this car, and indeed previous cars as well. But I think our best bet here is snipping the rubber tubing, so above the brake in line and below, I think, where this thick plasticky bit is, doesn't look to really serve any purpose at all, so I don't know why it's there. And yeah, looking closely at this now, I mean, there is no way in hell that is a burst. Something has had its teeth through that, there's no doubt about it, which is annoying, but what can you do other than fix it? This is the moment of no return. Let's cut above, hoping these will actually cut through it. There we go. We'll cut it right below, and then we'll bring it through and add to it. There we go. So yeah, I think you'll agree looking at this. This is coming up from the reservoir and this is going out to the windscreen. Look at that. Something's had a right field day going through that. Barely anything left of it. So yeah, this thick plastic bit, I don't know what the thinking is with this really. There's a bit of tape or something around one end. And so there was a bit of tape around the other end as well. Not much of it is left. Maybe this did serve a purpose, and maybe I should put it back on my new section of pipe. Definitely getting rid of this though. So I've got two lots of pipe here. One is 3.2mm, one is 4.7mm. I have no idea what this is. It doesn't look massive though. Actually, yes, that is the 4.7mm I'll be using. No chance in hell I'm getting the connectors I have on the 3.2mm. So 4.7 it is. So then, first off, let's pop this to one side, open up our connectors. Let's see how easy these are to actually attach to our two ends. Just gonna get some of the nice blue liquid out of there to start with. This is quite a thick connector, but we shouldn't have too much issue getting on, I hope. He says. Come on. Just going to try and get it down as far as we can. That's looking pretty good actually. Nice snug fit. Try and go over at least a couple of notches to give it as much resistance as possible. I don't have a clue what sort of pressure is going through this line when the motor's running, but I'm pretty sure that should hold. That looks pretty good. Let's get the other one on the other end. In fact, we'll check out the condition of this end first. So without this bit of side trim here, we can actually see inside the arch where this pipe actually runs. And I'm quite glad I don't have to go down inside there, to be honest with you. I think from here we should be able to get it sorted. I'm just going to do a little bit of cleaning first. This is a little bit gunky on the outside anyway. Oh, there is some gunk on there as well. Get rid of this excess bit of tape that used to do something, I'm sure. That's fairly clean, certainly clean enough for us. So we'll get our second connector onto this end. Hopefully it should be just as easy. This little bit, having not been in the engine bay, it does actually feel a little tougher. Maybe it's not been quite as warm, but it shouldn't be an issue. I might just get a little bit of lubricant on that. Just going to use a tiny little bit of WD-40 on the end of the connector and just wipe off a bit of the excess. If this isn't much easier, I might add a little bit of heat to the pipe, but we'll see. Ooh, she's slippy. There we go. There we go. We're getting there. Okay, that's a couple of notches in. That should be absolutely fine. Okay. Make sure we haven't loosened it from anywhere inside. I don't think so. So now we need a bit of pipe. So yeah, I'm going with the 4.7mm. It looks to be much closer in size to the original pipe, and I struggled getting these connectors onto the original pipe, so going with a smaller pipe would not be a good idea, I don't think. Okay, this stuff is so handy just to keep in box in the garage as well. So as you can see here, here's one connector which will be slid underneath, and here's the other connector which will be flush against the trim there. We're only missing a couple of inches really, but we would much rather have a little bit too much pipe than not quite enough pipe, or making it too tight. With that you run a risk with temperature changes and everything like that. You know, eventually it might start getting snagged and pulled on. You never know, you might end up with another leak. So I'm just going to cut about a 3 or 4 inch section to start with. I think that should be plenty for us. Again, I think I'll just get a little bit of WD-40, just as a little bit of lube. No real harm in spraying it into the pipe, and then I'll just blow it through to the other end, getting as much excess as we can out, like so. See a little bit in there, then we'll just blow it out. So I'll start on the bottom part of it, coming from the reservoir. I think this pipe is a little more rigid than the original rubber pipe, by the look of it. Ooh, that is quite tough. So I think here I may have to add a little bit of heat. Not too much, just enough that we might be able to get a little bit of malleability out of the plastic, so we can almost squeeze it into the pipe. Bit more on that. We don't want it to melt. There we go. Come on. Yeah, well, okay, we're in. Now we'll just feed it on. Bear in mind as well, when you're cutting your length of pipe, that some of that length is going to be onto the connector, so you don't want to make it too short. You do need a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so that is on. That feels pretty solid. Now I'm going to feed that through. It just goes underneath the bracket that the strut is on here. Might be a bit of gunk in there. No, I think we've done alright there. Okay, so the last bit. This is nowhere near as neat a connection as this part here is on the original rubber pipe, but we're doing what we can. So I think here I'll add a little bit of heat to both the connector and the pipe this time. I may have added a little bit too much heat to the last connector. It was quite flexible. But there we are, we learn from our mistakes, don't we? So let's see how they fit together. There we go, that is a lot easier. I'll just add a bit more to the pipe. Nice and flexible. That is slided on a lot easier than the other side. There we go. Okay, let's show you that. Okay, so here we are. This is the black original pipe. That's still quite warm, that actually. And then we've just added about 3 or 4 inches of the new clear pipe with a connector on either end. You can see there where the other end slots underneath this bracket here. There it is. It's a bit hard to get a camera in there. And then just under here you should be able to see 2 black pipes. That's not it. But yeah, the 2 thinner black pipes there. One of those is ours, and one of them is for the rear windscreen. Okay, so now I suppose what we should do is, before we get the trim back, put all our tools away, we're just going to boot her up again and make sure that this is actually working. Okay, engine on. Let's pull the stalk. There we go. Good as new. Okay, so there we go. That is it. Job done. I'm quite glad that I was just passing Halfords, the motoring shop today, when I noticed this issue, so I could just pop in, spend a few quid on some tubing and a couple of connectors, then a little bit of willpower, a little bit of fire, and it's all hooked up, good as new. Well, not quite. Don't think I'll be leaving it like this. This is very much a sort of quick fix. Obviously in the snow like this, especially here in the UK, we have all the salt and grit on the road. You can't go a quarter of a mile without having to wash your windscreen. It is horrible stuff. That's done the job for now, but I'm sure in the future I'm going to have to try and find the full loom and just replace the whole thing. I won't sleep well at night unless I do that. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I'll leave a link in the description if you need something like this. It might not be this exact one, but something similar to get you by. And same with the connectors as well. Yeah, give this video a like if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you want to see more Forester content. And if you've got any questions, leave a comment as well. Drive safe, and I'll see you in the next video.